Absolutely. And like we have pointed out, it is a time, normally everybody, it's a new year, new me, new this, new that. But talking about strategically, looking at how we can make this year a turning point for ourselves. Where do we begin?
We begin by setting the right goals, and that is part of why we've put together the New Year Kickoff Summit. And the inspiration behind that is I've seen over time how individuals and organizations, they begin the new year with big ideas, big dreams, a new year, new me, New Year resolutions, and everybody is excited that, oh, we've entered another phase. And then along the line, they lose momentum. Along the line, when you get to, in January, for example, you say, oh, this year I will not do XYZ again. And this year I will not do XYZ.
That's probably what you start with.
Yes, that's on an individual note. On an organizational note, somebody that can just wake up and say, you know what, next year we want to close the year at, they give a figure. Or we want to recruit, they give a figure of number of customers. And along the line, they start to lose momentum. And the reason that happens is because people don't have clarity for their priorities. They don't have the strategic actions they need to take, and they don't have the motivation to sustain the practicality of the thing that they are doing. And so you realize that February, March, they may still have some zest to pursue it. But by second quarter, third quarter, and then fourth quarter, it's another December again. And oh, well, we didn't achieve it this year. So let us look at achieving it again the new year. And then you discover that year on year, people keep pushing forward. Continues. The cycle continues, and there is nothing remarkably different or positive that they have achieved because of lack of clarity, direction, which is taking strategic action, and then the motivation to sustain the action, even when the going is tough.
So I want to ask you what key performance optimization strategies are there that, organizations should look into, or probably individuals should look into, because this is some of the things you'll be discussing in the upcoming summit. But let's have a peek into it. What are the key performance optimization strategies that you think people should just be wary of this year?
So for at the organizational level, three things that every leader should pay attention to this year. One, revenue. How are you growing your revenue? What will your profit margin look like? And since we're talking about...
That is the end.
Yes. And since we're talking about revenue, it means we're also thinking about cost.
Yeah.
There are many times we say, oh, we need to reduce our expense, we need to cut costs. But most times it's not about cutting the cost. It's about focusing how can we use this to make the maximum returns, generate the maximum returns possible. That is one, revenue. The other one is operational efficiency. How can we be lean in our operations? Do we need to have 1,000 people to do this work? How can we ensure that a particular thing that's supposed to be done maybe within 1 hour, how can we ensure that the turnaround time of delivery of that operations is significantly reduced so we can channel resources into other activities? And three is sustainability. Now, how can we sustain and retain our stakeholders? How can we retain our staff? I know there's Japa syndrome, but how can you, what strategies can you put in place to ensure that as much as possible, you still retain your staff? People are not only Japaing out of the country, people are Japaing into other organizations. So how do we retain our staff? How do we retain our customers? It is said that it is more expensive to acquire a new customer than to retain an existing one. So what modalities can you put in place to ensure that you retain your existing customers while you bring more in? And still talking about retention, also other stakeholders, investors, your community, as well. So it's hinged on these three things. How do we grow our revenue? How do we become more efficient in our operations? How do we retain our stakeholders?
Is that same for individuals as well, talking about as they plan to optimize this year? Is it the same as it is for organizations, or it's different?
Okay, so it's the same and slightly different because it's about productivity and synergy. Productivity is that individual result. Right. Then synergy is now bringing the 10 of us, the 20 of us producing significant results together. So for the individual, it is being purpose-driven. It's asking yourself in the new year, beyond New Year, New Me, beyond I will not drink this again, beyond I will read twice a day, or I will read more rather, is to just ask yourself, who do I want to become at the end of the year. And in different parts, in different areas of your life. One, in my career, who do I want to become? Do I want to be on the same level at the end of this year or not? And by level, I mean as a career professional, promotion. You know, one of the things we do with the Kickoff Summit, one of the testimonials, rather, at the previous edition of the Kickoff Summit, you have someone who used our goal-setting framework, a middle-level manager, for example, who used our goal-setting framework to score a hat-trick. In football, hat-trick means 3 goals. You know, I mean, first, within 6 months, this lady was promoted beyond her peers within 6 months. 2, within 6 months, and what led to the promotion first is that within 6 months, she achieved her full-year target based on her KPI. And then, of course, she got promoted within 6 months. And the third hat-trick, she met and married the man.
What's it with
the man of her dreams. You know, so because what we put together with the Kickoff Summit is not only for achieving your professional goals, it's also your personal goals as well. Because really, for any business leader that is forward-thinking would know that each staff that works with you, they are more than just that person coming to contribute to the growth of your business.
Definitely.
Their life is more than that. And the moment you can put mechanisms in place to help them for total well-being, you know, the more productive that they would be.